because of just the overlying, money. Maybe they're choosing different places to go to and, spend their money elsewhere where their money might be able to go a little bit further.
If you're trying to bring in all of the rich whales, great, because that's how it's priced right now. On the Strip, you can't get a drink for under 25 bucks. A mixed cocktail. I'm not going crazy, right? Just a mixed drink, 25 bucks.
I was driving Wednesday at like 6 p.m. on Las Vegas Boulevard, and I realized, oh my God, there's no people walking around. And when I saw that, I realized we're in trouble as a city right now.
Las Vegas has just sent a chilling message to all of America and even international visitors. Instead of "Make America Great Again," the city now seems to whisper a twisted new slogan: "Make Americans Go Away." Of course, they would never say it outright, but every detail, from the piling bills and hidden fees to the way casinos and hotels are redefining their services, carries a quiet, unspoken signal, pushing everyday tourists out of this profit-driven game. This isn't just a story about $40 burgers or $55 resort fees. This is a complete shift in the economic model. Vegas is no longer the city of mass dreams, where millions of families could buy cheap tickets to experience a night of luxury. Instead, Sin City is donning an exclusive veneer, reserved only for the wealthy and international high rollers. In today's video, we clearly saw that Vegas isn't just changing a few price lists or services. This city is changing its very soul, from a place that once welcomed all Americans into a limited playground no longer meant for the middle class. Vegas was once built for ordinary people, small-time gamblers, dreamers, and working-class families who wanted to spend a few $100s to enjoy a few days away from reality. They arrive, eat a cheap buffet, play a few hands of blackjack, watch a music show, and then return home with the memory: what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's part of American culture. But today, Vegas has completely changed. And sadly, that change isn't in the positive direction we'd hoped for. Arriving in Vegas, 2025. One feels as though the city is trying to erase the very people who once sustained it. Instead of catering to the American middle class, Vegas turned to courting a new customer. Young guests who came not to stay, but to film Instagram clips, take photos of Instagrammable food, and then leave, possibly never to return. They come once, check in, and that's it. The casino is also well aware of that. CEOs openly admit, now, Vegas doesn't live off gambling anymore, but off events, shows, and experiences. The numbers prove this. Gen X, a generation that has been associated with Vegas for decades, spends an average of nearly $873 on gambling per trip. Millennials decreased to $768. As for Gen Z, the customer group Vegas is putting all its efforts into attracting. Their target is around $575 for casino games, which is significantly lower. They're not interested in slot machines or roulette. They're buying an experience, buying a feeling to post on social media. Not only for younger generations, but Vegas now seems to be creating a separate playground exclusively for the top 1% of the population, the super rich. However, perhaps the city doesn't realize that. The super rich often only come here while the city is still trendy, but that appeal usually doesn't last very long. Just because Nashville has live music spilling onto the streets, or Austin has exploding festivals and cuisine, they'll immediately shift their focus to other cities. For the older generation who once considered Vegas their second home, this shift feels like a slap in the face and a betrayal of memories. The middle-class Americans, who have been paying for the bright neon lights for 70 years, are now left on the sidelines. A new world is forming where phones, social media, and money with many zeros determine who is an important customer, while loyalty and the annual trips, the memories of family Vegas, became outdated. This feeling of being erased touches upon a deeper unease, that the values visitors have painstakingly built are gradually being replaced by short-term superficiality. For those who witnessed 1970s and 80s America, the memory of a simple yet intimate Vegas is now overshadowed by day clubs, selfie spots, and noisy shows that leave no room for familiarity. And that's perhaps the most bitter part of turning MAGA in Vegas from Make America Great Again to Make Americans Go Away. A city once for everyone is now turning its back on those who helped light it up. And when those glamorous streets no longer belong to us, the question is, who does Vegas really belong to? The answer, perhaps, lies right in the way the city redefines itself. But why is this happening? And what is the underlying warning here? A market signal, profit structure, or a deeper crisis of confidence? Let's find out in the next part. Do you still remember? A Vegas where you just book and you're done. Cheap buffet for dinner, coffee in the morning, out to the pool at noon. A weekend that's both budget-friendly and full of memories. Now, before you can even put your wallet away, the bill is longer than the trip. The room rate is just the tip of the iceberg. Below are layers upon layers of fees. Resort fee, facility fee, parking, service. The name sounds polite, but it doesn't feel that way in reality. It's as if every line of text is another door closing on the working-class Americans who have kept this city alive for decades. The bitter irony is that those fees once had a reason. Around 2005, when smartphones were unfamiliar, hotel Wi-Fi was a luxury. Local calls were charged by the minute, and swimming pools and gyms were considered premium amenities. Hotels bundle them into a $10 to $15 per night package to save guests from having to pay in small change. But by 2025, that reason had vanished. Unlimited mobile data, free local calls, and winter visitors to Vegas didn't use the pool at all. Yet the resort fee swelled to $45 to $50 per night as a new standard without anyone asking. From preferential to default, from a convenience to a habit of collecting money. Why is it so resilient? Because the amount of money was too large to give up. Just a few dry numbers. 145,000 rooms across the entire area. An assumed occupancy rate of 85%. An average resort fee of $45 to $50 per night. Approximately $1.5 billion annually just for the Strip area. That number is enough to build a stadium, enough to become the lifeblood in the profit report. When a revenue stream has become ingrained in the operational DNA, it's very difficult to make it disappear simply through fairness. The feeling of being trapped doesn't just come from money, but from how people are treated. A couple from Texas stated bluntly, "Everything they collect here doesn't create equivalent value. It's just a way to squeeze an extra dollar out of the customer." And it's true that for the majority of people who go to Vegas every few years, there are no tips worth pursuing. To get the resort fee waived, you have to bet big enough. And betting big means you've accepted the risk of losing a lot of money. Trading $300 in fees for 5 nights for a night of heavy losses at the casino. That trade-off isn't for retirees who need certainty. What about co-branded credit cards? Ask yourself, how much 27% interest am I willing to pay just to have a fee waived that used to be a default feature? So, has anything changed from the legal perspective? In 2024, regulations will require booking sites to display the total price up front. No more bait and switch with $40 per night that doubles after taxes and fees. More transparent, but not cheaper. The fee is still there. It's just no longer hidden. Some places are trying seasonal campaigns, like waiving resort fees to attract customers during the off-season. As refreshing as a cool breeze, but unsustainable because $1.5 billion doesn't just evaporate from the balance sheet. Behind the words on the invoice lies a deeper sense of loss. For the baby boomer generation, Vegas was a reachable kind of fun, where a little bit of luxury felt sufficient because it was friendly and transparent. Today, you enter a world where everything is optimized for photography and catching trends, while basic things, A restful night's sleep, a meal without unnecessary extras, have become luxuries. When experience is sold slice by slice at a premium, trust is the first thing that gets charged for. When will a night in Vegas ever be a complete night, instead of a tricky problem? Because for the average American, the issue isn't not wanting to pay, but rather not wanting to be seen as a mark. If a city that once prided itself on being for everyone is now only open to those who can withstand price twists, who else will feel welcome? And what will be left of Vegas beside the glowing billboards? Try changing your perspective. A weekend night on the Strip, the music pounding, lights pouring down like rain, and the gleaming glass doors reflecting tailored suits and evening gowns. You approach a table hall, no longer the cheers of the mixed crowd, just the expensive silence of a few leather chairs, where the minimum bet is no longer for casual players. No sign indicated this. The air itself stratified. If Vegas was once everyone's playground, today it's more like a club where you need a thick wallet first, and then you can think about entertainment later. That transformation didn't happen overnight, but through a series of restructuring decisions: premium package services, guest areas, private performance viewing rooms, and fine dining menus by award-winning chefs. The unspoken goal: maximize revenue per guest rather than welcoming more people. We may not see the KPI dashboards, but we can feel the results. Vegas's average room rate in 2024 climbed to approximately $93.16 per night, ADR, reflecting how the market rewards the luxury segment and increasingly makes less room for mass market service. Another detail, less noisy but telling. Only 14% of visitors in 2024 were first-timers, the lowest in many years. In other words, most of them are people who are familiar with the rules of the game, know what they are buying and where, and are willing to spend on things that are right up their alley. As the proportion of newcomers dwindles, the city increasingly resembles a closed ecosystem where high-end consumption habits reproduce themselves. The distorted consequence is emptiness. Not empty seats on a slow night, but social emptiness when the city trades publicness for exclusivity. When luxury only becomes the default strategy, the unusually quiet nights on the casino floor or the empty room blocks are not just a temporary business signal. They are a sign that Vegas has chosen to take a stand and let the rest fall away. In that void, a silent phenomenon began to sprout. Glamorous, but empty. Spaces began to be filled by people who no longer had a place to go. Suggested solution, linked to personal action, not extreme. Prioritize services that transparently show the total price, avoid unnecessary luxury add-ons, and use comparison tools designed for seniors. The AARP Travel Center, powered by Expedia, is a familiar example of filtering for the right vacation package, with prices fully displaying surcharges and member benefits. A smart spending approach that helps you buy experiences at their true value, not just buy a brand to belong to a room. If Vegas continues to be an oasis serving only 1%, will the neon lights still be warm enough for those who have illuminated them for half a century? Or will they only reflect a perfectly beautiful city from afar, but be cold upon closer inspection? Imagine a summer morning at the airport. The direct flight to Honolulu is full. Passengers are bustling with suitcases and wide-brimmed hats, while at the Vegas counter, many empty seats remain silent. No one is saying outright that they are giving up on Las Vegas. They are simply choosing places that make them feel welcome and that are worth the money they spend. The dream of a vacation is still alive. It's just shifted direction to the beaches of Hawaii, the squares of Mexico, or the live music-filled street corners of Austin. This trend isn't exactly a big bang, but a quiet shift that can be seen through the numbers. According to the Hawaii Tourism Authority, HTA, in June 2025 alone, the state welcomed over 866,000 visitors, a 1.9% increase compared to the same period last year, with the majority being mainland US visitors. In Mexico, Cancun International Airport reported a 2.1% increase in international passenger traffic for July 2025 compared to the previous year, indicating that Americans' demand for overseas vacations is stabilizing and even slightly increasing despite economic uncertainty. This isn't absolute confirmation data, but it reflects a trend many people have felt. If Vegas closes, they'll find somewhere else to open up. The reason isn't just about cost. For older Americans, the appeal isn't the bright lights or gambling, but the cultural connection. Hawaii evokes memories of a spacious America from the 1970s, with families gathered on the beach. Mexico offers a sense of warmth from its community and cuisine, something many believe Vegas has lost. Austin is like a time machine, taking audiences 55 plus back to the music of Woodstock and genuine values, where a craft beer and the sound of live guitar are enough to define a vacation. When the flow of tourists turns away, the impact is felt right in Las Vegas itself. Fewer flights, more empty hotel rooms, and most importantly, the image of the city for everyone is fading in memory. Vegas itself has pushed away its most loyal guests, only to watch them take their wallets, memories, and even their vacation affections to other lands. Here's the paradox. A city that was once a symbol of openness is now shrinking into an oasis for a small group. If Americans' vacation dreams are continuing to flourish in Hawaii, Mexico, and Austin, what will Vegas have left? A dazzling symbol seen from afar, or a city that people truly want to return to many times in their lives? As night fell, the Strip still poured down a light as fine as powder, concealing every crack on the facade. But just by crossing an empty parking lot and turning into the alley behind a magnificent building, you'll encounter a different rhythm. The nylon sound of tarpaulins gently rustling in the wind. The damp, cool smell emanating from the concrete wall that still retains the day's heat. There, a part of the real Vegas comes to life. Not on stage, but backstage, where those who once served the bright lights now squint through the night right under the Jackpot Tonight billboards. The stories start the same way. It's heartbreaking. A room service captain had their hours cut, a night driver suddenly lost their route due to a drop in demand, and a waiter heard the restaurant was changing the menu and reducing their hours during peak season. There were no sensational headlines, just short announcements and a few cold email lines. With wages stagnant and rent costs unyielding, many people are forced to move in with others, camp in vacant parking lots, or seek temporary shelter in unused buildings. Some buildings, according to local residents, are used as unscheduled temporary shelters on nights when temperatures drop significantly, a common occurrence in tourist cities during the changing seasons. The whole picture isn't just told through memory. During the annual count on the first night of 2024, Clark County recorded 7,906 homeless individuals, an increase of approximately 20% from the previous year, a figure as cold as steel placed right in the middle of this desert of light. Data is just a snapshot, but it shows the silent wave that has become a tide. The issue here is not about blaming a single individual or company. The chain of causes is often layered: fluctuating travel demand, a preference for high-end models, rising accommodation costs, extreme weather, and social service gaps that are difficult to mend quickly. But the consequences are very specific. When the city's working class is pushed to the margins, the system begins to malfunction. There aren't enough staff to serve tables, rooms aren't cleaned properly, and the service loses the warmth that was once its trademark. The city shot itself in the foot without even realizing the wound. Individual solutions cannot replace policy, but they can provide a short-term lifeline. Large organizations like the United Way of Southern Nevada partner with emergency housing and food networks, job counseling, and temporary financial assistance, a helping hand before someone completely falls to the bottom. Timely assistance didn't change the entire economic landscape, but it was enough to keep a family afloat through the season. Who will keep Vegas running if the people who once lit it up night after night are left in the dark? That question, perhaps Vegas will have to ask itself again if it doesn't want to sink deep into the abyss of collapse. Let's say there's a simple test. Turn off all the LED screens on the strip at 3 in the morning and leave only the sound of desert wind. Without effects, without background music, what will Vegas be left with? The answer reveals the true current crossroads. Either continue to push the luxury glass walls higher and narrow the entrance, or open the doors in a new model, fairer and more humane, so that those who once built this city still have a seat under the lights. That choice is not merely symbolic. Economically, Vegas remains a tourism giant. 41.7 million visitors in 2024, generating $55.1 billion in direct spending and an economic impact of $87.7 billion for Southern Nevada. A small fluctuation in the welcome is enough to ripple through employment, budget revenue, and the social resilience of the entire metropolitan area. Therefore, restoring trust is not just an emotional issue, it's economic infrastructure. Which direction is feasible? First, fix the nails. Housing. When the foundation of stability falters, all commercial services above are shaken. The national picture reveals a severe shortage. The United States has only 35 affordable and available apartments for every 100 extremely low-income renter households, equivalent to a shortage of 7.1 million units. If the weakest part of the city is housing, any tourism recovery policy will lack traction. Next is lowering the threshold for the experience. Not everything has to be a billion-dollar show. The city could rebuild its mid-range product line, a local food festival with reasonable prices, a series of small outdoor stages, empty hour tickets for seniors and residents, and affordable room plus public transportation plus show ticket combo packages. This isn't a massive discount, but a redesign of the value scale, so guests don't have to pay for things they don't use. An expensive but transparent and diverse city still has appeal, as long as people feel considered. No matter how you look at it, Vegas still has opportunities. A tourism ecosystem that is both dazzling and all-encompassing, where budget travelers, the middle class, and high-income groups all have their own lanes. But if they don't manage to turn the key in time, the city will isolate itself in its own light. So, which scenario do you believe in more? A Vegas that continues to shine for the few, or a Vegas that bounces back because it has learned to open up truly to everyone? Vegas was once known as a place where everyone could find joy, from a few coins in a slot machine to simple buffets. But today, that city stands at a crossroads. Either it continues to be a luxurious oasis reserved for the few, or it opens a new path, one that is fairer, more humane, and more sustainable. The question left for each of us is, will the neon lights still shine brightly for everyone, or will they only reflect the faces of a small group? And if Vegas loses the tolerance that made its brand, will it still be the city of everyone, or just a memory of a bygone generation? If you feel these issues resonate with your own concerns, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share the video with those who are interested, and subscribe to the channel so we can follow the journey of exploring the true stories behind the glitz and glamour of America today together. The content in this video is created for the purpose of analysis, commentary, and providing a socio-economic perspective based on public information sources, official reports, and reference materials. Some details are presented as metaphors, images, or illustrative stories to evoke emotions and reflection, not as absolute statements of truth. All figures are cited from sources believed to be reliable at the time of production, but may change over time. The video does not represent the political, economic, or legal views of any individual, organization, or government. viewers should consider and independently consult additional sources before making any related judgments or decisions.